Alright, so this is going to be a... I figured I'd talk over this one because it kind of looks like a pile. So, we got the hand traps, Mexi, Ash, and Imperms down at the bottom. We have Eldlich for obvious reasons. Most of the mutants are, all of the mutants, well, the tiny ones are psychic, and that's how you're going to bring them out easily. We also have a small Nemesis package with Keystone, Flag, and Corridor. Flag can search any of them, including Eschatos and Protoss. This is ideally how you're going to want to get to these. That's why he's at 3 and all the others are at 1. Corridors in here for Colossus and the extra deck. It's a 1 card in Colossus, and we also have 2 Darks and the Hawk, also for the Colossus, and mainly to cycle out the hand with Hawk if you have bricked. So it's a small draw engine and another way to get to Colossus. You can just run Corridor at 3 if you don't have these or don't feel like crafting the SRs. Then we have 3 M05s and 3 ST46s. These guys, this guy searches spells and traps. This guy searches the monsters. You're gonna want both of these at 3. And then we have 2 Beast and 2 Arsenal. Not playing Mist because it's kind of garbage and would just be an extra body. Beast and Arsenal, you can both use their effects. Mist, it's kind of irrelevant. Keystone is in here at 1, typically because it's just a recurring banish fodder. So if you banish it, it'll come back at the end of the turn. So you can either banish it for a summon or banish it for an effect, and it will come back, which is cool. Just in there so that you're not wasting too many resources because this deck discards a lot. We have Feather Duster and Lightning Storm, obviously, and we have 2 Prosperities. Some of the extra deck isn't totally necessary, so this is probably the best draw card. You want some stuff in your graveyard, so Avarice isn't the best option, in my opinion. 2 Fusion and 3 Cries. This is how you're going to get your Fusion monsters out. Cries a lot better, in my opinion, because Fusion, your opponent needs to activate a card effect on your turn for you to actually kind of use it to its fullest potential. So I would always just search Cry to get into Fusion plays with ST46 and just do the Fusion on your opponent's turn, because that way you can just go into a Synthesis and pop a card on their turn, which is pretty nice. We only have 1 field spell. You could play this more, but again, you can just search it with ST46. So, and I never find myself really needing to use it more than once with the Eldlichs. It's a mulligan and a special summon on activation, so it helps on brick, but I don't think you really needed it to. And then we have 2 expansion. This is just another special summon on activation. Otherwise, it's just card effect protection for your big mutants. And then, obviously, the 2 Arch Nemesis cards. These are just good for wiping boards and shutting off special summons. They're pretty easy to get into. This deck has a pretty good diversity of attributes and types. Just be careful, because if you're only ever really seeing your mutants and not any of the Thunder cards or any of the other Nemesis cards, you're probably not going to be able to get into these too easily. And then for the extra deck, 1 Colossus, 2 Synthesis. You could have this at 3, but I don't really think you need to. 1 Ultimateness, definitely only need 1 of these. We have a number 97. If you can get 2 big mutants out, it's a easy extra summon, which I either go for 38 or 92, just depending on the situation. Usually 38 if I'm going first and can set it up. Zeus doesn't really come up too much because if you use 97's effect, you can't special summon again for the rest of the turn, but if you happen to get it off, it's there. Then a bunch of links. Typically the links are what you're going to banish off of Prosperity. They're not too integral, but they are extremely useful. Mainly Cerberus, Phoenix, Verte, Unicorn, and I've gotten into Access Code a couple times, but typically I usually just banish 3 off Prosperity and get rid of Cross Sheep, Cerberus, and Underworld Goddess. You're not going to be link summoning too much with this deck, but it is good for some extra back roll removal, or if you need to spin something that can't be destroyed. But yeah, that's about it. It's kind of a pile. It does brick a little bit, but normally if you can get one of your tiny mutants in hand, you should be good to set up at least something half decent. As long as you can set up like a larger mutant and a Cry, or a Colossus and a Cry with stuff in graveyard, you should be fine. 9 to 7 plays aren't too hard to get into. If your hand's pretty good, you can get into that pretty quickly. But honestly, the main goal is these two. These are definitely going second cards. If you're going first, they're not going to help you too much. But these guys are what's going to kind of shut off the opponent's deck. You could play Macro or Dimensional Fissure, but more often than not, I find it shuts off both of these guys and ends up hurting you in the long run if you have it up for too long, even though it might turn off the opponent's deck. But yeah, there's going to be a game afterwards of some Eldlich players scooping once I summoned Eschatos, so, or however you may say that name. But yeah, that's it.